Hello, it's Dawn Michelle and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to continue our little spooky season spectacular with a special edition of playing with pairs. So today we're going to take a look at some of the tarot decks that I shared with you in my spooky season basket. Yes, all of these decks were in there, and I'm going to share with you some of the oracle decks that I have been using with it, as well as maybe just playing with some oracle decks to see how well they pair. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump on in. We're going to start with the Necronomicon Tarot here and the Vampire Oracle in the center. This is an amazing pairing, and I'll be honest, I have been playing with it pretty much all month long. There's something about putting these two decks together that I feel like the big-eyed girls bring a totally different energy to the work with the deck. So the work that I've done with the Necronomicon on its own has been vastly different than the work that I've experienced when I add the Vampire Oracle. It's really interesting because I did a whole video, a special edition playing with pairs with my members with these two decks. Well, I was trying to find an oracle deck to pair with the Necronomicon. And this was, after several attempts, this was the oracle deck that I landed on. And then I did a reading with it. And ever since then, I've been working with these two decks quite closely together and adding the sort of energy of this kind of, I don't know, innocence lost that I get from the Vampire Oracle just really brings out something almost softer, quieter, and a bit melancholy from the Necronomicon Tarot, which is a totally different energy that I get when I work with it all on its own. So let's take a look here. We have Creator with Catalyst, Maker, Mother, Father between the King of Books and the King of Beakers. How interesting is that? Every character in this particular oracle deck looks a little bit sad, melancholy, and I find that when I pair these two decks together, there is almost like this sweetness that comes through. It's actually been a really loving, supportive pairing. I know that sounds ridiculous, but that has been my experience with it. When I pair this with other decks, I don't get that same reading experience. So the oracle deck really does make a difference sometimes for me. So here we have Knowledge between Authority, which is the Emperor, and the Four of Pentacles. Study, learning, and education. I love this. Like, the messages that I get from these two together are amazing. Aesthetically, I think they're pretty phenomenal together as well. They have a very similar color palette. There's a sort of softness to the way the artwork is rendered in both decks that I think lends itself really well to this sort of pairing together. I get a lot working with colors. Blue here in the background, blue in her eye, blue in this circle-y beaker area here, which also kind of looks like an eye. There's so many different layers that you can tie into with this particular pairing, and I have just been enjoying it. This is probably one of my favorite pairings that I've been working with this month. You'll see the others when I talk about all the decks that I work with in October at the end of the month. But yeah, this one is amazing. Oh, we'll end here because this is my favorite card in this deck. This is my Hecate card. It's Primal with Connecting Deep Within, Sacred Dance, and Instinct. And we have it between the Four of Beakers and Imagination, which is the High Priestess. Gorgeous. Okay, so the next pairing that I have is another sort of tried and true, probably longer pairing than any other pairing I have in this video. This is the Madame Lydia Wilhelmina's Tarot, which I do apologize is out of print, or at least at the time I'm filming this is out of print. It does come around again on occasion, so keep an eye out if you're interested. And then I'm pairing it today with the Memento Mori, but honestly, any of Claire Goodchild's oracle decks pairs beautifully with this particular tarot. There is something about the simplicity of the imagery with that sort of macabre nature of the Memento Mori or any of the other Claire Goodchild oracles that work so well with this really intricate detailed artwork in the Madame Lydia's. I love just kind of like the single keyword focus. So here it's an item in this particular deck. I've also paired the Madame Lydia's with the Oracle of Oddities, which I didn't show here just because, again, that would be out of print and out of print. This one is still available and they do have a little bit similar energy. So again, that kind of like singular focus works really well for me. So here we have Book with the Knight of Cups and the Tower. The Cross with the Six of Swords and the Eight of Wands. Love that. Aesthetically, I think they are amazing. I love the breathing room that the sort of parchment paper, the negative space creates in the Memento Mori, or really any of Claire Goodchild's oracles. I'm a huge fan of her work, and I have the majority of her decks. And they work really beautifully with a vast majority of things in my collection, but these two together are just a little bit kind of magical. So here we have Charm with the Five of Wands and the Moon. Again, another beautiful, beautiful pairing aesthetically, but the messages really do, I think, work really well. This tends to just get really to the heart of the matter, really to the heart of the reading, like what is at the essence. So here we have gallows, right? And we think about what gallows means and how does that relate to the Nine of Wands or feed into the energy of the Page of Swords, and what can we do with that energy and that message. So here we have Offering with the Nine of Swords and the High Priestess. I love that. I think it works really, really well. And aesthetically, it's just stunning. They kind of feel like they exist in the same space, in the same world. I feel like all of the items in the Memento Mori you could find within the world of Madame Lydia's, and I love that because it does make it feel like it exists in the same space. So like, for example, this salt feels like it could be sitting here amongst all of these, the bounty of the Three of Cups, right? Or maybe it's the salt in the wound of the Five of Swords. I love that. They just feel like they sit together really, really well. Here we have two sevens, the Seven of Coins and the Seven of Cups with the viewing table. I mean, that's kind of beautiful. Sevens for me are about deeper lessons, so I think that works really well. The Sign with the Ace of Coins and the Queen of Wands. Yeah. Aesthetically, like just spot on, right? I love the botanicals. I love the black and white illustrations. I think that it really allows you to hone in on that particular image, that particular thing or item, like here, the Plague Doctor, and then we can really expand and deepen our understanding through the tarot cards and, you know, step into their beautiful world. So here we have Candle with the King of Coins and Temperance. Isn't it just stunning? I love playing with pairs. It's like one of my favorite videos because it's just so much fun to sit here and flip through cards and kind of see what little messages pop along the way. So here we have Snake with the Ten of Cups and the Six of Coins. Interesting. The Cat with the King of Cups and the Star. Okay, let's just do one more because we do have other pairings to get to. The Pedestal with the World and the Ace of Swords. That's pretty cool. For our next pairing, we're going to use my tried and true Zombie Tarot, which I talked about being like maybe my absolute favorite spooky season deck. We're going to try it paired with the Between the Worlds Oracle. This is a new pairing for me, so it'll be an interesting experience to see how they work well together. This is a deck that I have modified, so not only have I edged it, of course, but I've actually stamped the keywords on the cards because I'll be honest, like it didn't really work for me with just the titles because a lot of the things like the bones and the doll parts didn't really make a lot of sense to me. I had no sort of connection to them, like here, a doll's head. With the keywords on it, I get it now, it makes sense, but beforehand without, like when I would just pull the doll's head card, I was like, I have no idea what that means. So I had to stamp the keywords on it, which was so fun. I think I did a video on it. And I thought these would be really cool to pair together because we do have like a lot of bones and stuff in this deck and like body parts. So I feel like that would go really well with the Zombie Tarot. So we have the Ace of Swords and the Five of Wands with the doll's arm in between with Assist and Impede. The other thing that I thought would be really cool with this particular pairing is that I have stamped both the sort of light and shadow keywords on the card. So one could be read as the light and one could be read as the shadow. So like here we have the Thimble with Work and Play. So maybe I might look at these two cards, the Hierophant and the Page of Wands, and go, okay, which one speaks to work and which one speaks to play? So the Hierophant for me, because like this dude, he's on screen, he's like working, right? He's like a newscaster. So that would be work. So I would look at the Hierophant in relation to work, and then the Page of Wands I would look at in the relation to play, because we have this little like zombie baby, like just gnawing away on a bone, which is so cute. And then I would look at maybe in the guidebook and see what Thimble actually means as well. So I thought this would be a really fun one because I feel like there's almost a reading built into this little pairing as well. So here we have the Bird Bone, Vision and Delusion between the Queen of Hazards and the Queen of Cups. I mean, that's kind of perfect, right? The Queen of Hazards would be the vision, like what we need to be focusing on, and the Queen of Cups is like the delusion. Like this is us thinking that everything's all okay even when it's not, right? I think that's actually pretty cool. I'm loving this. So we have active and passive with the amber necklace with the 10 of swords and the 9 of cups. So one could be active. This feels very active in this 10 of swords, and the 9 of cups feels very passive. So like aesthetically, also, I think they're kind of cool together. I feel like I could also maybe add additional cards to this. Like this would be one of those great ones to incorporate a few other sort of oracle decks into this so that I could kind of continue to layer this reading. Maybe I will use this one for a one-shot. That would be fun. So here's the doll's leg, which again means nothing to me, but when I stamp it with mobility and immobility, again, those are keywords that are in the guidebook. So like I could just get the guidebook, but I don't really want to. So I like having them on the card. So I could look at here, like where are we experiencing mobility and immobility? So maybe 7 of swords, page of hazards. Those could be our two aspects. I think that's really cool. Also, just like, again, like I said, aesthetically, I think they're beautiful. They kind of exist in the same color palette. The sort of energy of that kind of grungy, almost post-apocalyptic kind of energies coming through both of these decks. How cool. Atlas bone with integrity and hypocrisy with the 8 of hazards and the tower. I mean, I feel like the tower is hypocrisy, right? It's like a big corporate building. Perfect. And the integrity is the 8 of hazards. I think that's cool. I like it. All right, gossip, speech with the 4 of wands and the 4 of cups. Ooh, interesting, 2 4s. Love it. Okay, yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna have to do a one shot with these two because like there's already other decks coming to mind that I wanna kind of pull in, and I think they would be really fun to play with together. So we'll end on this one with the coyote tooth with deception and strategy. So we have the fool, might be a good deception energy, and strategy with the 5 of swords. That's pretty cool. Our next pairing, we have the Seasons of the Witch Samhain Oracle, which is kind of like my quintessential spooky season oracle deck. That and the Vampire Oracle. However, like I'll be honest, I use this deck year round, and we're gonna pair that with the Horror Tarot, which is not a pairing that I've tried before, but I thought maybe, you know, maybe they might complement each other. So here we have the Underworld with hand over your known, a shift is near, take a leap, your journey is clear. I'm not gonna read the messages all on the bottom of the cards, but they are quite beautiful. And we have that between the, see, I can't read that. I think that's the Page of Wands. Yes, the page of wands and the tower with the underworld. I think that works. The coming of winter with the moon and the page of pentacles. This is the problem with this deck, trying to do it on camera, is I cannot read the titles. Pumpkin. So we'll just kind of flip through it because like I have a really hard time reading the titles. Some of them I know like just by looking at them. Like this is the Fool and this is the 8 of Wands. Yes. Yes. So the Fool, I guess I should make sure. Yes, the Fool and the 8 of Wands with the veil. That's beautiful. But not all of them I immediately recognize and could tell you exactly what they are, and I cannot read the titles. Like I'd have to pick them up and get them really close. So we'll just flip through the cards and take a look at like how beautiful these are together, because actually I do really like it. I feel like even though the art styles are like not the same, they are very compatible. And I think they look quite beautiful together. I've actually paired the Horror Tarot a lot with the Diablo Tarot, which is kind of like tarot on tarot pairings, which I should probably do a tarot on tarot playing with pairs because I do that on occasion. But I really do like these together. Also, I have been using the Seasons of the Witch with the Cursed Auguries like a ton this month. So I will be talking about that beautiful pairing in my monthly wrap up. But I just wanted to give these a try because actually I think they work. I'm really liking it. I like the energy of it. I feel like the art styles are compatible enough, but I definitely feel like we're sitting in that same space. And in a sense, I feel like the Samhain deck maybe brings a bit of magic into the Horror Tarot. So it's kind of like taking us into this dark, creepy world, sure, but this is also showing us where the magic lies within that. And I kind of like that. I think that's pretty beautiful. Mischief there. Also color palettes, you know, kind of that black, gray with those pops of red that we get through the line work here. primarily. But you can see here, like we have that sort of brown, black, gray energy going on through a lot of this artwork, which is probably another reason why I really like both these decks, because color palette wise, even though I'm not like a huge red person, the rest of the colors, all those really kind of muted earthy tones are totally my jam. And I think this is kind of amazing. Does anybody else just like sit and pair decks sometimes? Just like see what comes up, see what messages you get? Like do you do your own version of playing with pairs? I do this even off camera too. I have done where I've like turned on the camera. I did it with the Necronomicon for my members. It's just like, hey, let's play with pairs, because it was just fun. But I do this all the time just to kind of figure out where decks are going to sit in my collection and what I want to work with it. Look at this one, the Banshee. That's beautiful. I think it's just so fun. Ooh, I love this with the Ancestor and the Spider. And the Spider is the Devil. Yes, the Ancestor with the Devil and the Eight of Cups. Yes. I always gotta double check with this deck now because I'm second guessing myself. That's beautiful. Potions and Spells. Gorgeous. Do one more. Look at all the figures, the single figure. We have the figure here, the figure here, and the figure here. This really brings the idea of these two cards kind of looking inwards toward this idea of silence. I think that's fantastic. Okay, so the next pairing is a completely untried pairing, and this is the Night Fairies with the Tarot of Haunted House. This deck I've been trying to find my way with this particular month. I've used it for some daily draws and stuff, trying to just figure out where it sits for me in my collection. Don't think I've tried pairing it at all. So this is the first pairing with it. And I just thought I would see if it would work well with this energy of the haunted house, because we kind of have this dark and spooky, and then we have the Night Fairies. So here we have the Huntress with the Eight of Pentacles and the Queen of Wands. That's kind of beautiful. Aesthetically, I think the art goes together really well. They have kind of a similar color palette. There's a sort of darkness, a deepness to each of these decks that I think works really well. Very heavy into the blue and purple. So here we have the Alpha with the Moon and the Ten of Pentacles. She looks like she's pointing at her. It's kind of cool. So these ones throw me off in this deck. I think that's the problem, and maybe I just need to remove them, but then this Oracle deck would be really, really teeny tiny. These Fae, there's like 5 of them, I think, feel very out of place within the rest of the world of the deck, and it really threw me whenever I got one. So I might take them out, but if I do that, then it's only 32 cards as it is, and if I remove 5 of the cards, that is a skimpy Oracle. Like, Los Scarabeo, seriously, you need to put more cards in your decks. Like, 30 is not enough. Just my personal opinion, just my hot take on that. But I like the rest of the cards. See here again, this just feels out of place. This feels like it belongs in a totally different deck. And it really disrupts my experience of working with the deck when they pop up for me in that way. So here's the Hollow's Calling with the Empress and the Seven of Cups. That's beautiful. I do think they actually work really well together. I just maybe need to remove those weird Fae cards that I'm not sure why they're in there, because they feel so out of place. It's the Wounded Healer with the Eight of Swords and the Four of Cups. I mean, that's kind of beautiful. I'm kind of liking the messages that I'm getting. I feel like it's adding this sort of mystical, like shadowy underworld kind of energy to the haunted house. Like, we have the messages coming through the haunted house, but then through the this one's a bit of a weird shift too. I don't care for that card. So again, like, now we're on to 6 cards I might have to take out of this deck. But I think what the Night Fairies does really well is it works with those. Maybe it's just a place and a time, but I feel like what it does really well is maybe get to the shadow energy of what's going on, like not necessarily bad, but just what is unknown, what is unseen, what's in the beneath. And then it can look to the tarot to see more of like, how is that manifesting on a surface level? I feel like actually that would be a really interesting pairing and reading style to do with these 2 decks. So here we have Self-Reliance with the, I think that's the Knight of Pentacles and the Ten of Wands. It's beautiful. I do kind of like these together. So yeah, I just thought this would be a fun one to try. Even though I wasn't planning on it, didn't pull it out, there's one other Oracle deck I want to try with the Haunted House just for fun. So I pulled out the De La Nuit Oracle, which again is also another Lo Scarabeo deck. And even though it's different artists, like it feels like it kind of sits in the same space. This, however, is a fairy tale deck. So now instead of adding that sort of dark fae underlayer, I'm looking at adding the fairy tale underlayer. So we'll see how that pairs, because it just kind of popped into mind as I was flipping through. So we have the Spirit of Magic with the Tower and the Five of Cups. I mean, that's kind of interesting, right? The Princess and the Frog with the Three of Swords and the Two of Cups. So yeah, I mean, aesthetically, I figured they're going to go together really well. They kind of exist in that same sort of fantasy world. The color palette is the same. Again, the De La Nuit has a really dark purple sort of tone to it as well. Look at this one, the Dark Spell with the Five of Wands and the Four of Pentacles. I love that, actually. That works really well. I kind of dig this one. It allows you to add like the fairy tale layer to the Tarot Haunted House. It's like, what if you were reading bedtime stories in a haunted house? This one, again, is another one that I feel like I want to pull out of the deck because it takes me right out of the experience of working with it. That's often the case with these little Lo Scarabeo decks. And I'm always hesitant to kind of pick them up because there's only 30 cards and some of them I end up taking out. So that's just a hot take on that, but otherwise, I think it actually works really well. So the Little Mermaid with the Devil and the Knight of Wands. That's interesting. When you think about the actual story of the Little Mermaid, not the Disney-fied version, but the actual story of the Little Mermaid, that's kind of fitting. Peter Pan. Cinderella. Ooh, this works really well. Again, I feel like I'm getting a kind of like a shadow energy to this. Like, I feel like these are like fairy tales that are more in that the dark realm of fairy tales. The Grimm's version of fairy tales, not the Disney. Even though some of these are very like romance cover looking, and I see that with all love and affection because I adore romance novels. But like some of them definitely lean more into that sort of prim and beautiful fairy tale version, but I feel like that, just as I mentioned with that tarot deck, there's a depth there if you get beneath the surface. So yeah, I think this one actually works. I think this is the last card, but let's just do this just so we can do one more and see what note we end on. Ooh, Milan, love it. Okay, so there are 6 of these cards. I counted them. So if I wanted to keep them out separate, I could use them for very specific things. We did already see this Fae of Wonder, but I just wanted to pull it up here so we could see all 6 of them with this Dark Angel and see how it works. So the Fae of Innocence between the Tower and the, I think that is the King of Wands. Yeah, I kind of like that with the Raven. I mean, this is a little like visually, it's very red and punchy and like it's really drawing my attention, whereas these two actually like aesthetically feel like they sit more in the same space. But I do kind of like it. Like if I wanted to specifically pull a Fae energy into my work with the Dark Angels, I might just pull out, I mean, I've only got 6 cards to work with, so like it's a 1 in 6 chance, right? But to do it on occasion, I think is fine. So we have the Warrior Fae with the 5 of Swords and the 2 of Pentacles. That's pretty cool. Like that. Let's see how this one works. The Fae of Friendship. I mean, yeah, we got like a 3 of Cups over here. I can kind of get on board with that. The Fae of Joy. I feel like it's almost like being pulling the Dark Angels like out of their dark and creepy and gothic sort of emo angel world. So it's just interesting because I feel like it is kind of in a sense like get out of that shadow energy and let's look at what else is going on. It's just a different way of working with an oracle, right? Okay, are we ready? We're gonna do, this is not really a playing with a pair, but we're gonna do a shuffle of the Trionfi da Luna Illustrated, because this is the first time I'm going to be playing with this deck. So I thought I would just share this experience with you. This deck shuffles amazing. I may have shuffled this deck before, because I edged it and everything, and I think I put it back in order, but I have not worked with it. So I am really excited to see what it's gonna offer us. Let's just give it a little overhand. All right, let's get to pairing it. I really had no idea what I wanted to pair this deck with. I don't know that I feel like I really have anything in my collection that sits really in alignment with this energy. So definitely let me know in the comments below if you have this deck, what you pair it with, because I'm really, really curious. So I thought I would try it with the Urban Crow just because, I don't know, the crows kind of have that same sort of cheeky energy sometimes that the Trionfi della Luna does. So here we have Perspective with the Eight of Cups and the Emperor. I don't know, I thought it might just be interesting as, you know, a way to, I need to not mix up my extra cards, which almost happened, as a way to maybe just bring in something that I'm like familiar and comfortable with when working with this deck. But I don't know if aesthetically they're going to go together really well, or even like energetically, or even in their messages, but it's always worth a shot. So Night with our Ace of Wands and our Page of Swords. Self-Interest with the Ten of Swords and the King of Cups. I mean, I think the colors actually are quite compatible, but they are very different art styles, and I don't know how I feel about that. The Trionfi della Luna feels like a bit more aged, older, whereas the Urban Crow feels like it's got urban in the title, which makes me like lean more into the modern. I wouldn't really consider it a modern deck, but in the scope of my collection, it's a fairly modern deck. So I feel like you're getting a little bit of that interesting balance between like the past and the present. Maybe that could just be me reaching too. I don't know. I'm not loving it. Survival, Nine of Coins, and the Chariot. I'm not loving it. I will tell you that. But it was worth a shot. Memory, Knight of Coins, Seven of Swords. Let me try something else. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about these two either. I had the Memento Mori out, you know, from our earlier pairing, so I thought I'll just throw it down and see how it works. At least I feel like I'm getting more into that sort of vintage energy with that like antique energy with the Memento Mori, but I still feel like aesthetically they are not doing what I want them to do. I don't feel like they're really even talking to each other the way I want them to talk to each other. King of Wands, Seven of Cups with the Ring. Nope. Nope, I'm not feeling this one either. I mean, this smoke between the Knight of Swords and the Knight of Swords and the Nine of Swords actually works, because like I feel like this gray, see this gray down here, gray there, that really draws my attention, but like it's still not quite getting the like message that, you know, when you pair two decks together that they just bring out something special in each other. They just really integrate well. They kind of speak in the same language. They can be totally different aesthetically, but still speak in the same language. I feel like I get that with the Necronomicon and the Le Vampire Oracle. I definitely get it with the Seasons of the Witch and the Cursed Auguries. But this just isn't getting it for me. All right, let's do one last ditch effort, because like I'm feeling like I don't have anything in my collection that pairs with this deck. I might somewhere, but right now I'm just not seeing it. So we're gonna try the Mushroom Spirit Oracle just for the heck of it, just to see. So we have unique, I'm just gonna read the keywords, between the Queen of Swords and the Six of Wands. I mean, this deck is pretty unique. Well, it's not unique in the sense that there's like a bunch of these decks. I may have ordered another one. I don't know what to tell y'all. I just really don't. But it is unique in that you definitely know when you're looking at a Deviant Moon deck. You definitely know when you're in this world, and that is very unique. So here we have a line with the Page of Cups and the Knight of Wands. Again, I just feel like it's not getting what I want. It's not hitting in that right spot. Celebrate, Five of Coins in the World. Yeah, maybe this just might be a deck that I just work with on its own and I do not pair it, and that is okay. That is fully acceptable. It does kind of, it's not my favorite to come across a tarot deck that like I just can't find a pair for, because I do feel like it kind of limits what I do with the deck, because so much of my tarot work is involving Oracle and Tarot together, that when I come across a deck like this that I just can't find a pairing that works, then that really limits my ability to be able to use it. I might just use it for just like a daily draw or a, you know, simple 3-card reading. That would work, but yeah, I'm not loving this one either. Not loving it. All right, little Trionfi, I am out of ideas for you. So I mentioned it before, but I'm going to mention it again. If you have this deck, or just in looking at it, you know of a deck that you think might work really well with this, definitely drop it in the comments below because I would love to find a deck that would actually work with this for me. Alrighty, so there we have it, the spooky season edition of Playing with Pairs. As always, you'll find links for everything I've shown here in the description box of this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I look forward to sharing with you again soon.